$132,000 a year. That's the median pay for an SAP consultant in the United States. Glassdoor's number from over 5,000 reported salaries. And the top earners? They clear 237,000. Germany? Senior consultants cross 100,000 euros. India? The top 1% make more than 29 lakh rupees a year. Same career, 3 continents. And in the very same year, SAP itself is cutting thousands of jobs. Both of those things are true. So is SAP still a good career in 2026? Or are you about to train for a shrinking market? I've spent 11 years in SAP consulting. Let me give you the honest answer, with real numbers. If you're weighing SAP as a career move, this is the video I'd want you to save. And if honest SAP career advice sounds useful, subscribing takes 1 click. That's the whole pitch. First, the money. One important thing before we start. Everything I'm about to show you is reported market data, salary platforms, and recruiter surveys. I name the source and the year for each. Real offers depend on your module, your employer, your city, and how well you negotiate. So treat this as the MAP, not the territory. Let's start in the United States. Glassdoor 2026. Based on over 5,000 reported salaries. The median total pay for an SAP consultant is $132,000 a year. The typical range runs from about $99,000 to $181,000. And PayScale, a second independent platform, puts entry-level total compensation at around $74,000 in your first year. That's the entry point, not the ceiling. Now Germany, my market. The Hayes survey from 2025 puts SAP and ERP specialists at number 2 of all IT specialties, behind only cybersecurity. The average? About 71,800 euros. And Robert Half reports that for experienced senior consultants in consulting firms, crossing 100,000 euros is not a rarity. One honest note on that word senior. In my experience, that means roughly 5 or more years of project work. That is not a starting salary. And India, which runs a huge part of the world's SAP work, AmbitionBox 2026. About 15,000 reported salaries. The average is around 10.8 lakh rupees a year, and the top 10% earn more than 17.9 lakh. But here's the detail in that data I find most interesting. The same job title pays around 7 to 8 lakh at one large IT services firm. At a big consulting firm, 14 to 16 lakh. Same title, double the pay. Who you join matters as much as what you learn. Remember that one. It changes how you job hunt. So why does this field pay like that? One big reason, and it has a deadline attached. Most large companies still run SAP's older system, ECC. Mainstream maintenance for it ends in 2027, with a paid extension to 2030. They all have to move to S/4HANA, the current generation. And here's the number that matters for your career. This is from the latest DSAG survey, the German-speaking SAP user group. Of the companies still on ECC, only 37% expect to be done by the end of 2027. Almost half are planning all the way to 2030. That is years of migration projects, all competing for people who understand the system. I made a whole video about that race, the 2027 deadline. It's linked in the description. Quick pause before the uncomfortable part. Tell me in the comments where you'd be starting from. Finance, logistics, IT, or a full career change. I read every comment, and I'm building upcoming videos around exactly those starting points. Now the part that salary videos usually skip. 3 honest things you should know before you commit. 1. SAP itself, the company, is getting smaller. The restructuring that started in 2024 affected 9 to 10,000 roles, per the register's reporting. And SAP's own CFO said it plainly. With AI, the company can, quote, afford to have less people. The CEO has said he does not expect to need the same number of consultants with today's job profiles. That's not a rumor, that's them, on the record. So why am I not telling you to run? Because of a distinction that most headlines miss. SAP, the company, employs around 110,000 people. But the SAP job market is many times bigger than SAP itself. Think of the partner firms who run the implementations. the in-house teams at every company that uses the software, the freelancers. That ecosystem is where the migration wave from earlier actually lands. SAP's payroll and your job prospects are two different markets. Both headlines are real, they're just not about the same place. 2. The market has cooled. In Germany, the Hayes Index shows overall demand at its lowest point since 2020. The years when anyone with an SAP certificate got hired in a week, those are over. You'll be entering a market that wants good people, and juniors face a real catch. Projects want experience that nobody hands out. I'll show you the bridge over that in a moment. 3. The job itself. Consulting means client pressure, often travel, and a learning treadmill that never stops. I went from ECC to S4HANA to cloud, and now AI is rewriting the job descriptions again. If you want a learn it once, coast forever career, this is not it. In my experience, that treadmill is exactly what keeps the work interesting, but you should choose it with open eyes. If you're still with me, here's the practical part and the bridge I promised. SAP's official training platform, learning.sap.com, has over 160 guided learning journeys, and they're free. Genuinely free, not trial-free. Certifications sit on top of that, and here's my honest take on those. A certification signals commitment, but it lands a job only when it's combined with hands-on practice. And SAP certifications now renew yearly. So the path is, pick a direction, finish one journey, and build something you can talk about in an interview. And picking that direction is easier than you think. Start from your background, not from the product list. If you come from finance, that points one way. From logistics, another. I made a full video comparing the main modules for exactly this decision. It's linked below. So, is SAP a good career in 2026? For the right person, yes. Not because of the hype version, because the demand is real, the money is real, and the work it takes is real too. You've seen all three today. Now it's your turn. Tell me below which background you're coming from. Finance, logistics, IT, or something completely different. Your answers decide which videos I make next. And if this one helped, subscribe, the next ones go deeper.